Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the news series. My name is Pooja Dwivedi. The Starship of SpaceX was launched recently and it exploded. But as we expect, it wasn't a hue and cry in the company. As in, the employees celebrated the explosion. Why was it so? We have to talk about that. And also, of course, we will talk in brief about Starship. The entire segment has been covered from the perspective of GS Mains Paper 3rd. So, recently a flight test was conducted for a reusable Starship rocket. And this was a commercial spacecraft. This was launched by the commercial spacecraft manufacturing company SpaceX, which of course we all know is Elon Musk's company. And this craft exploded into smoke and flames on Thursday, that is April 20th. The test was the first for spacecraft manufacturers Starship spacecraft and super heavy rocket. So, Starship spacecraft is the carrier and the super heavy rocket is the booster. Alright? They collectively are referred to as Starship, both of them. Moving on. Now, if we talk about Starship, the website says that together, the carrier and the rocket, they represent a fully reusable transportation system designed to carry both crew and cargo to Earth orbit, the Moon, Mars and beyond. So this is something we can call another sort of innovation, another sort of discovery of human powers, that we can even have reusable spacecraft. This is something that is going to cut back the amount that would be invested in making such kind of spacecraft over and over again, because we all know due to friction, whenever these spacecraft enter back into the Earth's atmosphere, they burst into flames. Starship will be the world's most powerful launch vehicle ever developed. Moving on. Now, if we talk about what was the flight for, this was a successful launch of an unmanned test flight of its next generation Starship spacecraft and super heavy rocket, and it is said that Starship will have significant capacity to carry heavy payloads. Also, this was the first launch with Starship's two sections together. There are also plans to use the craft to launch satellites into low Earth orbit, and Starlink, which is of course the constellation of different satellites in order to provide better communication from Elon Musk's company only. Starlink internet service will also be done. This will also be put into place before human flight tests occur. Now, crucially, NASA has said that under a $3 billion contract, SpaceX will provide the human landing system that will transport astronauts for the 2025 Artemis 3rd mission. Also, humans here in this Artemis 3rd mission, humans will go to the south pole of the moon, which is not explored well enough. So there is a lot of mystery in the south pole of the moon. Now, it was planned, what should have actually happened ideally, in an ideal scenario, it was planned that the craft would drop its first stage super heavy booster into the Gulf of Mexico. And the spacecraft was to then continue eastward to complete a near circle of the Earth before splashing down into Hawaii. Now, this particular move was only to gauge its current capabilities of launching. Okay, so launch or liftoff was there. Flying to the Earth's orbit, re-entering the atmosphere and landing for reuse. SpaceX says that once successful, the craft will be eventually able to carry up to 100 people on long duration flights in space. So this will completely revolutionize the commercialization of space and of course space tourism also. But the explosion occurred less than 4 minutes into flight. This could be seen as a failure, but the mission's goal was to achieve a 90-minute debut flight into space that was unsuccessful due to the malfunction where the upper stage Starship, it failed to separate from the lower stage super heavy rocket. Okay. So we can see it as a part of the entire process that launch off was possible. Now, SpaceX executives, including Elon Musk, pointed to how the major objective of getting the vehicle off the ground, because it's too heavy, was possible and it was seen as a successful liftoff. So the New York Times also noted that while big NASA programs, they are constantly under scrutiny, SpaceX, such companies can have the luxury of being, you can say, not so successful in their first go. So this was SpaceX's first go with this, and it was, according to SpaceX, a success. Now, experts were quoted as saying that the dramatic loss of the rocket ship would help accelerate development of the vehicle, and this is the biggest rocket that humanity has tried to build. Also, it is designed to carry orders of magnitude more cargo and people to and from deep space than any existing spacecraft. Moving on. Now, if we talk about how does this fit among SpaceX's bigger ambition, it is being hoped that once tested successfully, this would carry back many tons of rock from Mars, and it plans to transport dozens of astronauts and the entire lab facilities to Moon and Mars. NASA is also working on a mission as compared to this SpaceX mission. NASA is also working on a mission to retrieve samples of Martian soils and minerals through its Mars Perseverance rover, but in smaller quantities. With help of this Starship, we will get them in larger quantities. Starship is a crucial to, you can say, a project to SpaceX interplanetary exploration goals. Its more near-term launch businesses are also going to be encompassed here, such as launching commercial satellites, science telescope, and eventually paying astro tourists expected to use the fully reusable rocket for rides to space. Now, this has also been described as a part of billionaire space race. Like Amazon's founder Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin is readying the New Glenn rocket for its orbital debut in the next year or so. And NASA will use the New Glenn to send a pair of spacecraft to Mars in 2024. So billionaires are also, earlier it was nations race to space, now it's billionaires race to space. So I hope you understood this topic well. That's it. Thank you so much for watching.